when you look at the data of what is it about people with positive relational energy, it's two things. One, it's they're very values driven. So, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, humanity, really, those deep human values.
Yeah.
How do we feel around someone with a lot of integrity? We feel safe. How do we feel around someone with a lot of compassion? We feel comforted. Those are the people that are the people we turn to. Those are the people that we want to have around us. So the people who have those values, they end up letting people feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated, which is what everyone wants.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Well, Hello, Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. Emma, in our last conversation, we talked so much about your incredible book, Sovereign, some of your personal experiences, particularly after having witnessed the second plane crash into the Twin Towers at 9/11 and how that affected you and what it was that you were able to do that had such an impact on the way you could recalibrate your nervous system. If you are listening now and you've missed that episode, please feel free to join us for this one and then go back to last week or do it in reverse, however you'd like to listen to these episodes. It's completely up to you. But Emma, I'm really excited to get stuck into this next part of our conversation.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about a story you wrote about in the book and about the hit that was put out on her and what happened and how she managed to cope with that experience. Can you please share how through her sovereignty she was able to turn it around in the most unbelievable way?
Adele is amazing. Did you hear the podcast with her in it that I did with her?
Oh,
She's
goodness.
so lovely.
She is.
You can get a feel for her personality, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
She's phenomenal. She is an activist. I mean, she's many things. She's a Yale grad. She's the Yale Law grad, which is the toughest law school in the US. She's absolutely brilliant. She's dedicated her life to ending human slavery and also ending and helping the environment. And so in the last decade or so, she's really focused on ending deforestation. So she spent a lot of time in the Amazon. She spent a lot of time in Africa. And what she would do is she would see where companies are illegally cutting down trees. And then she'll send them letters and say, hey guys, it's not legal what you're doing. And they'll ignore her. And then she'll go to her friends at The Guardian or the New York Times and be like, this is what's happening. And there'll be a big expose. And then then they call her and they're calling her and saying, hey, what can we do? But anyway, actually, you know what? Maybe cut that out because maybe I shouldn't talk about her strategy.
Of course.
Let's cut that part out.
No problem at all.
Just that part about how she does it.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, so Yatel was in an African country where she was investigating a rubber company that was doing a lot of deforestation. And suddenly her driver disappeared and she had to go back to the airport and people were telling her, okay, get in this car. And this car was with two muscle strapped strangers in military apparel, obviously there to do away with her because the government there was in cahoots with the rubber company. And Itel was in the way. They didn't, they were getting kickbacks and Itel had no choice but to get in that car. But during that time in the car with them, she was able to turn the situation around and they became her protectors. They drove her all the way to the airport. And then she got confirmation there that, they were meant to kill her because they said, do not ever come back here. You are not safe here. But then they said, but if you have to come back, come over a land border under our protection. What had happened? So Itel has something that researchers call positive relational energy, which is this, I think we all have heard about the energy vampires concept been around for 40 years. This idea that, certain people are quote unquote toxic, they make you feel drained and tired. And yes, there are those people. But one thing we don't talk about is the other types of people, which are I call them the sunshine people. They're the ones who they light up a room. You feel connected to them no matter what. Spending time around them, you feel accepted, you feel seen, you feel heard, validated. You just, I feel like everything's okay, and there's those people, those magical people. And research on leadership shows that those kinds of leaders create an enormous amount of productivity around them and well-being. I mean, there's so much data on how fabulous companies who do really well have more of these types of people in those companies, et cetera, et cetera. So Itel has this way about her. Now, not to say that other people who've been held hostage don't have that. This is obviously an exceptional situation, but she was able to develop a rapport with these people that they understood what she was doing there was to help them, and that they ended up protecting her. And, when you look at the data of what is it about people with positive relational energy, it's two things. One, it's they're very values driven. So, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, humanity, really, those deep human values. Yeah. How do we feel around someone with a lot of integrity? We feel safe. How do we feel around someone with a lot of compassion? We feel comforted. Those are the people that are the people we turn to. Those are the people that we want to have around us. So the people who have those values, they end up letting people feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated, which is what everyone wants. And in turn, they energize others rather than draining. They energize others. And in so doing, they also energize themselves. It's this beautiful reciprocal situation. But the other aspect that they have is they know how to fill their cup. It's very difficult to put out energy when you're drained yourself, right? It's difficult sometimes to look past yourself. Research shows that when we are very stressed, very anxious, or depressed, when we become more focused on ourselves, self-focused, which is probably from an evolutionary perspective, it's a good thing. If you were stressed, you were being chased by a tiger, like it's better to just focus on yourself. Yeah. But it's not really serving us in terms of relating to other people. So, but the second aspect is that they know how to fill their own cup. And so this is where a lot of the things we're talking about, like developing a more self-compassionate relationship with yourself, breathing, meditating, doing things that honor you, fill your cup, are also very important.
They are. And thank you for sharing that. I so encourage everyone listening, please go out and get yourself a copy of this book. It is a book that you will always be picking up and putting down after you've read it from cover to cover. And I'm learning to be able to say to myself, it's okay, I can put it down and I can pick it back up again. And you speaking to this today, I think, is just a really good reminder for all of us that if we don't invest in ourselves, ultimately we'll be forced. I mean, you're not saying this, but ultimately what we know is if we don't take that time, then ultimately we might have challenges with our mental health or with our physical health and our well-being in a way that we're forced to let go of so much because we didn't invest in finding ways to develop that inner strength and that ability to cope and to fill our cup, which is not just about meditation and mindfulness, but doing the wonderful things for ourselves that really enrich our life. And so I love that you've been able to really reinforce that for us today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's true. If you don't do those things, you're going to hit rock bottom, whether it's with your physical health or your mental health. And then it's so hard to climb back out of that hole. Oh. It's also so bizarre. Like, if you have a pet, like you take it for walks and you give it the food and you give it something to drink and you make sure it rests. If you have a child, you do the same thing. Why wouldn't you do that for your own body? We kind of take our body for granted, but it's just it's a living being. It's the shell in which we dwell. And like, how are we treating it? You kind of wonder sometimes.
I know. It's just fundamental. It's fundamental. One of the things that you wrote about was your own experience with your eating disorder. And I wonder if you had a profound realization, an absolutely profound realization when you kind of reversed the way that you were doing things. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you learned about being able to express how you felt and how that changed the way that you nourished yourself and the way that you looked after yourself from that day forward?
Yeah. So I was, I think I was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And I'd moved to the US for college, and it was a very stressful sort of time. And I didn't know how to deal with my feelings. I guess every time I felt down, I would binge eat. I mean, just eat whatever for a long time or stuff myself, I guess. And it was like an addiction. Like I couldn't stop. I couldn't understand it. It was very bizarre, but that's just what happened. So I would do that regularly. I would feel bad, then I would eat, and I would cry afterward, and it was like a cycle. And then one day I went to a meditation session. It was kind of weird to meditate in the 90s, and there weren't many people that would go there, but there was a guy that went there that I had a crush on. And I thought, let me go to this and maybe I'll meet him. Yeah. It's kind of weird, but whatever, I'll just go.
I think it's a great reason to go along to anything. If you've got a crush on someone, go where they are. Good strategy.
Exactly. So I went and we had to sit there for an hour staring at the floor, and it was so boring and excruciating and painful. And I thought, I'm never doing this again. It's terrible. And when I got up and left, I was like, okay, I feel pretty peaceful, but I'm never doing that again. That was awful. So anyway, the next day I was feeling bad again. And I walked in my dorm room, and there's an old pizza that didn't even look good that was sitting there. And I was like, oh, look, I could binge again. Yeah. But suddenly I had a light bulb that went off in my head that was like, oh, every time you binge, you cry after. Why don't you cry first?
Yeah.
So that light bulb went off, never gone off before. It was a moment of awareness. And so I did. I went on my bed and I cried. And when I was done, I sat up. The need to binge was gone. And it was like that one meditation had created enough awareness. And we know from neuroscience research now that that's what meditation builds, that self-awareness, that awareness of your mind, that space to have a realization that ended in addictive behavior. I never, ever binged again after that, ever. And it's like that freedom that had come through one and my very first meditation ever. Oftentimes, when we're people feeling down, so they could turn to things, say alcohol, right? But research shows that even one drink of alcohol lowers your awareness.
Yes.
And yet one meditation can lift your awareness. It's like, what are we doing? It's funny. Someone the other day was like, oh, great. So I could just meditate to make up for my drinking. That's not how it works. But it's just amazing when you think about it, and how that awareness gives you the sovereignty to see what you have not seen, but you can't unsee what you've seen.
Yes.
So once you've seen it, you're free from it.
Yes.
I think, so many people with addiction, whether it's alcohol addiction or social media addiction or work addiction or whatever, just to try and not feel bad. But what I found and realized is that, the emotions are just, if you let them run their course within you, then they go. Emotion is energy in motion. But if you stuff them down with food or overworking or over-exercising or overdoing whatever it is you're doing, pick your poison, shopping, gambling, whatever.
Yes.
They're just going to be there waiting for you. And you're going to be stuck. And you're going to be hooked. And you're going to be bound.
Yes.
Perhaps all life long. Yes. Unless you develop sovereign awareness. Which you can do.
You can do. And before we talk, because you've not only got the book, you've got your course, of course, The Science of Sovereignty. But before I ask you to share with us about that, because that is something I want to make sure we've got time for, could you please just compare and contrast being bound versus being sovereign?
Yes. So being bound is, many of the things we talked about were instances of bondage. For example, being in the self-loathing cycle where we're highly self-critical and we're sort of beating ourselves up and draining ourselves in the process. That's an example of bondage. Or not knowing how to handle our negative emotions, not wanting to feel negative emotions. And so being stuck in a cycle of addiction, whether it looks good, you're doing 40 hours of community service a week, or it looks bad, whether you're, taking drugs every weekend or whatever. It's bondage. You're not free. You're hooked into a pattern that is not serving you. It is hurting you. And in so doing, it is preventing you from showing up at your greatest potential, at your happiest potential, at your most energized potential to show up with all of your gifts blazing. We all have gifts. That's bondage. And it's not what we would wish on our children. It's not what we would wish on anyone else. And sovereignty is, first of all, awareness. It's like that awareness that I developed when I did that first meditation. This is just one example, right? It's awareness. Oh, okay. This is what's going on. So you've got to see first.
Yes.
And that's where these contemplative practices are important, and things like therapy and things like that can help as well. But definitely the contemplative practices, I think, are absolutely key. And then courage too, because you can have the awareness and be like, okay, drinking's not serving me, but all my friends drink and I don't want to be different.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to dare to do that. Or I'm realizing that I'm in an abusive work situation or marriage or whatever, and I don't have the courage to leave, right? So you have to have courage in your sovereignty.
Yes.
So there's awareness plus courage plus a full tank. And that's where all the self-care practices come in, because you need a full tank, but that's part of sovereignty because it's honoring yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. In so doing, you become limitless. Yeah. You actually become limitless in your ability to show up as your greatest expression of yourself, which is also what's going to make you happier and fulfilled, but it's also what's going to benefit everyone around you and society. And we're in a time, I think, of human history where we need everyone to show up in their greatest potential. I mean, if not now, then when?
I know.
And this book came to me, it came to me and asked me to write it. Like, that's how it felt. It really did feel that way, that it was like, now, humans need this message now, sovereignty. And here it is. So
here it is. And it is
so much more. There's so much more in the book about sovereignty, so many different aspects of it. These are just the things we've talked about.
That's right. That's right. Goodness, that hour we have together between last episode and this episode, just touching the surface. But I really, I am highlighting, I always sort of feel like there's a little part of me that, like, if I talk in a library, eat in a library, or highlight it, or a book, I feel like my primary school librarian will come for me. But there's so much that I've highlighted in this book, and it's really been a profound read for me because of the way that it's changed the way I think about things and the way I look after myself. And I know that you're doing that for so many others. You're creating such an incredible legacy, and there's so much more to come. But please, if you could, before we finish, share with us about your course and about how people can connect with you and jump on your mailing list, because you always share so much value every time. I mean, I don't have a lot of newsletters that I open every time they come into my inbox. Yours is one of them. So yeah, please share with people how they can get on your mailing list and learn about your course and join you to learn more.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it's the website is www.iamsov.com, as in I am sovereign, so IAMSOV.com. And I'm on Instagram at The Happiness Track, Facebook at The Happiness Track, and then you can sign up for my newsletter on my website. There's the course info. There's a free members portal where people can access some of the material. And yeah.
Emma, the work that you are doing and the way that you are sharing it with the world is, as I said at the start, it's such a gift. I want to thank you for your time with me here, sharing your wisdom and your insights, and just some of what's in this incredible book. I really just want to say a huge thank you, not only for the work that you're doing, but for your time here with me today.
Oh, thank you, Jodi. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week.